Going to take some olive oil. Sometimes olive oil, I might use, well, normally with something like this, well, we've got so many bold flavors already, I might not necessarily use olive oil. I try and, if I've got bold flavors, lots of flavor in my salad, I try and steer clear of olive oil because it's got that smoky earthiness, so I like to kind of let the flavors of the salad shine through. And as I said, very simple, touch of balsamic. Normally when I make a vinaigrette, I do 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. In this case, I'm going to use a little bit of cranberry juice for a little bit of sweetness also. So I'm basically doing 2 parts oil, half a part balsamic, half part cranberry juice. And we're just going to give this a quick blend. And I always tell people this is the most important tool in the kitchen right here.
Tasting.
Yeah, taste it all the time. And whenever you season anything, I'm pretty good actually. Whenever you season anything, always start small. Start with little bits of salt and pepper. Like with this, start with little bits of balsamic and little bits of cranberry juice, because you can always build, you can never take away. All right. So our vinaigrette's all set. Salad's going to be ready to go. See? Very quick, simple vinaigrette. And then what we're going to do, probably later on when we get closer, but I'll get it prepared. I don't even think I need to put this on a sheet pan. I'm just going to put slices of brie on this, and then we can just pop this plate underneath the broiler for about 15-20 seconds just to melt it down a little bit. Good hint on cheeses and cutting cheeses. If you're going to have to cut the cheese, pardon me. If you do have to cut the cheese, always excuse yourself. I mean, obviously. No. If you are going to cut if you do have to cut cheese, leave it in the fridge for as long as you can. All right, great. We're back. Wanted to check my puff pastry.
Perfect. Oh, look, they're all puffy.
Yep. Perfect. So we're going to set these aside. Let them cool down. We'll get back to those later on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, we always stress in the kitchen, or we talk about in the kitchen at the restaurant, we call it mise en place, which is everything in its place. And it's something home chefs should also stress to do also. That means have everything ready before you start have everything chopped, have everything ready before you start your recipe. That way you don't get halfway through your recipe and your chicken's burning and you find you need a half a cup of chopped celery, you don't have your celery out. So always have everything ready to go before you start your recipe. For this shrimp dish, I'm just going to add some fresh zucchini, summer squash. I might check in the fridge, see if there's some fresh tomatoes to give it a little bit of color. Very simple. We talk about, pardon me, knife skills in the kitchen. A couple things to remember. 2 knives that I use pretty much exclusively. Serrated knife, great for tomatoes and bread, lots of hard work prep, and a chef's knife. This is a 10-inch chef knife or French knife. They make them in all sorts of different sizes. It really depends on what's most comfortable in your hand. And a lot of people are confused about knives. A lot of people hold a knife like this. A knife is actually meant to be held like this. Thumb over the top of the blade like so. If you use a knife long enough, you'll develop what's called a knife callus right there. And also knives. The French knives are designed to roll or pivot on the front edge, if you'll notice. It's not a, I'll show it with the back knife. It's not a chopping motion, it's a rolling motion. So we've got nice tiny shrimp. I'm going to cut these pretty small so you can get a bite full of shrimp, bite full of vegetables all at once. Another thing that I see amateur chefs do with knives, which is probably the worst thing you can do with a knife, and I'll demonstrate with the back of the knife, is they'll gather ingredients with the blade, if you want to show them right here. People will gather the ingredients like this with the blade of the knife. It's probably the worst thing you could do to a knife. It's like going outside and rubbing it against a rock for a couple minutes. So the cook's claw, we refer to it as, I refer to it as, all fingers tucked away, thumb tucked behind it, and then we use this this middle finger as a guide. And the reason it's designed to roll is just to alleviate stress on your wrist, arm, and hand when you're doing a lot of prep work. Like to half them, line them up. So we've got our zucchini and summer squash all prepped. I'm going to grab a tomato out of the fridge. Tomato or tomatoes. Do you have any tomatoes or tomatoes in there? Yeah, small ones are fine. Yeah. Down in the crisper here? Second one down.
Left.
Left. Oh, there we go. Some little grape tomatoes. Those will be perfect.
Left. Thank you, Bob.
That's all right. We found them.
I'm going to my right and my left.
So we're just going to take some grape tomatoes. Okay, I got boiling water. I'm going to throw a little bit of kosher salt in there. Everybody has a different way of cooking pasta. It's really up to you. Going to do enough for 4. A lot of people break pasta. Never break pasta. Always put it in the pot whole. It'll start softening up, and then we'll drop it down in there completely. Put the lid on it once we get it in there. Let it go. Throw it at the wall to see if it's ready. No, don't throw it at the wall.
You taste it.
Yeah, you pull it out and taste it. And we're going to go a little al dente because we are going to toss it with all our shrimp and vegetables, so we'll be a little al dente. It'll finish cooking in the pan. We're going to add some fresh lemon to this. Always before you juice a lemon, squeeze a lemon. Give it a good roll. Loosen up all the fibers. We've got our white wine out and open. And we're going to prep some shallots. We'll show you how to dice a shallot.
Same as an onion, isn't it? Oh.
Basically. Smaller version of an onion. Put this in my... Yes, Cindy, what is it?
Pasta should always cook pasta in an al dente. Yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's all your personal preference. It's really how you like it. It's up to you. I like it that
I prefer.
when it bites back a little bit. Great, I'm making a mess of Cindy's new stove.
Gotta go clean it later.
Good. Well, yeah. Doug needs something to do, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He likes to volunteer, so he remembers everything.
It's in the middle of the stove.
Little grill? Griddle. Okay, now a good way to dice, we can see the structure of this shallot. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut almost all the way through, but not all the way through. Depending, we want a pretty fine dice. So once again, almost all the way through.